Thank you so much for picking up the Ultimate Media Source Library template for Tana. This is my first template, so I hope you find it useful. In this video, I want to quickly demonstrate how you can add this template to your workspace and get it set up so you can quickly start adding sources to your workflow in Tana. So after you click on the link to import the template into Tana, you'll be greeted with a screen like this with the title of the template, and then it'll give you a summary of the contents of the template, including the super tags, fields, and nodes. And then the first thing that you need to really pay attention to is where you want to add this template as far as which workspace. Now, I created a temporary workspace called Workspace 2 that I'm going to use for this video demo, but you can add this to whichever workspace you'd like. Go ahead and click Add to Home, and you'll be brought to a screen like this. Now, I find it useful to go back to the workspace itself and open up the template here so that way we can have access to our schema, because step number 1 in the Start Here tab says that we need to move all of the super tags to our global schema so that way we can use it anywhere in our workspace. So I'm going to highlight all of these and drag them into the schema, or rather, what I'm going to do instead is copy them. I think that'll be easier. Go into the schema and paste. And then notice that these are all references in the schema rather than living inside of the schema. So we need to go ahead and move them here. And I'm going to do that using the command palette. So Command K on my Mac, and I'm going to say bring reference node here. And that way that solid line indicates that the node actually lives in our schema, which is what we want. Now I could go one by one here, but instead I'm going to select all of these and say bring reference node here. And now all of our nodes and super tags live inside of our schema, which is great. All right, let's go back to the template. So that is step 1. Step 2 is optional. You can rename these super tags if you want to. If you have a keen eye, you probably noticed that I included a suffix here for each of these super tags, and that's because I don't want these super tags to conflict with any that you might have in your workspace with an identical name. And so you can rename these if you want to remove these parentheses and the little UTSL template tag at the end, but that's optional. I will say that if you do rename these, make sure you go into our searches, our live queries, and make sure that everything updated accordingly. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and skip step number 2, and let's move on to step number 3, which says add the dashboard to your sidebar. So I'm going to open up Workspace 2 here. I'm going to open up this node, and I'm going to drag the source library into my sidebar, which is great. And that way we have easy access to our source library. Now you have everything set up to go ahead and start using this template, but let's go over to the demo tab so we can look at some examples. Everything extends from our base source super tag here. And if I open this up, you'll see that it has a bunch of different fields like the source type. This will range from options like books and movies to presentations and podcasts. We have a consumption status that kind of indicates if you've consumed this, if you want to read a book, or maybe a source was recommended to you by a friend, that can be captured in this field. And then we have another field for the creator. So sometimes you might want to link this source to, let's say, an author or a YouTuber. That would be a great use case for the field here. And then just a few other ones that you'll see used throughout the template. But you can see here that I've created different sections for like books and movies. Each of these will extend from our source super tag. And so you can go ahead and mark any source as a source. So let's say this is a movie, but I'm going to mark it as a source, and actually, I'm sorry, it's a book, but I'm going to mark it as a source and then change the source type to book. You can do that. That's totally fine. Or I've created these subclass super tags like book and movie and TV show and things like that all extend from the source. So that way it's a little bit easier and you can see in line what kind of source this is. This is all optional, but I recommend doing this. We also have a highlight, which is really cool because you can link it back to a source. So if you add a highlight from a book, if we go into that book, we will see book highlights, which is really great. And we can see all of those highlights from a specific source, which is awesome. For movies, very similar. We can track different movies with the source type being set to movie. Obviously, you can go ahead and add a consumption status and then how much you liked the movie on a scale of 1 to 5. For TV shows, it's very similar. So here's The Last of Us. It is a TV show. I'm currently consuming it, but what's great now is that we can track all of the TV episodes, which is awesome. So you can see here, I'm tracking each episode that I watch using the episode super tag. And those episodes have fields on them like rating and the episode number. And what's cool about this is that now, depending on the rating for each episode, once I'm done with that TV series, I can see my average score, which I can then fill into the TV show here. So if I get to the end of the series, and let's say the average is 4.5, I can add 4.5 here to the rating for the actual TV show, which I think is really handy. Awesome. We also have some other source types, including article. And article also has highlights. So if you want to highlight certain things from a piece of like a blog post or something like that, you can do that and link it back to the article. We have videos, which I think have a URL if you want to link like a YouTube video. And then some other things like podcasts, which also have episodes and things like that. So it's a very versatile system. I hope you like it. Let me know what you think. In the super tags and fields and searches, we also have all of these listed, which is fine. These are just here for you to kind of see a bird's eye view of everything that's used in this template, although you may not need to change this at all. The searches are all used in our source library. And so really quickly now, let me go to the source library in our sidebar. Remember, we moved things there. And now you can see that we can view all of our sources and they're grouped by source type. So we can see all of our movies grouped together and our TV shows. We can also see what we want to consume next. So a big issue that I have is I get sitting down on the couch and I turn on the TV and I'm like, okay, now what do I watch? Do I want to watch a movie or a TV show? Maybe I want to read a book. I don't have to really consider that anymore because as people recommend me different TV shows or movies, or if I know that a book is coming out that I want to read in the future, I can add that as a source and then go to my What to Consume Next tab, and I can quickly see all the things that I want to watch or read or listen to, and I can just pick one of those, and I don't really have to think about it anymore, which I think is really cool. And then as we move towards the right on our list here of tabs, all of the sources are categorized. And so we have our movies, TV shows, videos, books, and so on. I also included this tab at the very end for all highlights, and it'll grab all the highlights in our workspace, even if they are linked to an article or a book. It doesn't really matter. And so you can see those all here. Awesome. Well, that is how you use the Ultimate Source Library template for Tana. Thanks so much for picking up again. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.